The meeting of the Board of Regents, State of Iowa for December 10th, 2019 will come to order. We'll begin by calling the roll. Regent Dunkel.
Here.
Regent Barker.
Here.
Regent Least.
Here.
Regent County.
Here.
Regent Dakovich.
Here.
Regent Bates.
Here.
Regent Lindemeyer.
Here.
Regent Butker.
Here.
Regent Richards is present. We have a quorum and the meeting may proceed. I'd like to welcome everyone. To get us started today, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce the Governor of the State of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, for her comments. Governor Reynolds will welcome, and the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, President Richards and members of the Board of Regents. I'm pleased to be with you today for what I think will be a historic day for higher education in Iowa. As you all know, the higher education landscape in the United States and around the world is changing. Advances in technology and communication have dramatically increased opportunities for students as well as colleges and universities. Competition for both students and faculty has never been more intense. And as our higher education institutions are facing more pressures to control cost and tuition than ever before, all of that is happening at the same time that taxpayers, legislators, and yes, governors continue to expect highly ranked, top-flight public universities. That means governing boards like this one and administrators like those at our 3 public universities continue to focus on innovation and finding creative opportunities to reshape how things are done in higher education. That means exploring new funding streams in addition to state dollars and tuition, which we all know are limited. And the reason I am with you today is to say good work. Last year, I challenged the Board of Regents to look across the country to see what other universities and higher education systems are doing to leverage their assets. It was my hope that we could be creative and innovative to find new ideas that would bear results not only for the people and the students of Iowa, but for our shared goal of having the best public universities. And I'm really pleased with the results that you're discussing today. This public-private partnership is exactly the kind of innovative thinking that we need, not only in Iowa's public universities, but across state government. I appreciate how deliberate and transparent President Harreld and the University of Iowa have been throughout this process. They have had numerous public forums and included shared governance at the table since the beginning of these discussions. The university has also shared how the money would be invested and bear fruit in the future, not just in the near term, but the long term as well. This is an exciting and historic day. The University of Iowa has a bold strategic plan, and this P3 initiative will provide supplementary revenue to support it. All that is really good news for the people of Iowa. And it really is my hope that what we are discussing today and this P3 model can be a roadmap for similar ventures in the future. So again, I'm just here briefly to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for really stepping up to the challenge. I appreciate your time today and good luck in your deliberations. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor Reynolds. At this time, I'd like to recognize the University of Iowa President Bruce Harreld, who will present the details on the proposed public-private utility partnership.
President Richards and members of the board, thank you for convening this important meeting to consider the University of Iowa's proposal regarding a public-private partnership, a so-called P3, with our utility system. I'd like to begin by thanking Governor Reynolds for her personal leadership. Specifically, she propelled us to this meeting today by writing us a letter in the summer of 2018 that kicked off our explorations on campus in order to determine what was possible and its impact and how to proceed. For over 12 months, these campus conversations, which included our faculty, staff, students, and advisors, allowed for a robust and thorough review that I will hopefully now encapsulate in the next few slides. The University of Iowa is a strong institution with a remarkable history of leadership in higher education. This history was built by those that came before us, and their legacy is what we stand upon today. It is now our turn to set the stage for the next generation of leaders of our campus, and we know, in fact, how to get there and to lead us into the future. And we need to, quite simply, execute our strategic plan. In order to implement that plan, we need new resources above and beyond the conventional ones, such as tuition, increases in state support, or even our own internal efficiencies. This is what this new partnership will provide our university: new resources to invest into our strategic plan, new resources to invest into our future. However, while these resources will invigorate our future, we must never lose sight of our values. This simple point, in fact, that any partnership must be built on values, is a key point we heard from our community over and over again in the 10 campus and community forums we held through February and September of this year. Our affirmation of our values was also the feedback following each of my 5 presentations to the Board of Regents regarding this P3. Simply put, a 50-year partnership will not work if our partners don't reflect our values of investing in our people, investing in a sustainable future, and moving towards a carbon-free future. To that end, I am so pleased that our new partners not only share these values, but have a strong historical track record of upholding these values, which I will highlight shortly. With that, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce Angie and Meridian, and I look forward to the start of our relationship. I'll say more about them here in a few minutes. At the risk of being redundant, I'd like to go through some of the material we covered last week. I think it's important to do it again, so bear with me. And to that end, I'll move through these as quickly as I can, but please know that our webinar from last week has been placed on YouTube in case anyone would like to review any slide in further detail. First slide here is, according to the U.S. News and World Report, we improved our rankings this year, but we're still not where we would like to be and need to be. And it's important for our students, our board, our campus, Iowans, and alumni to know that we have a very clear plan for addressing this. That plan is our strategic plan that was developed 4 years ago, and specifically the elements devoted to student success. We know that we must improve our first-year retention rates, our 4 and 6 year graduation rates, as well as our research and scholarship productivity. And with your help and the resources to fund the strategic plan, we can meaningfully impact these numbers, which will improve the outcomes for our students and Iowans. Funding of the strategic plan is a reason why I've been studying the opportunity of a P3. This P3 provides our university, our students, faculty, and Iowans with much-needed fiscal support. The resources that a P3 could bring to bear on our campus, if appropriately invested, will significantly alter our student outcomes and set us on a more positive overall direction. There are 2 key measurements that we monitor closely, informing us on how we are doing in keeping our students in school and having them graduate in 4 years. The logic here is pretty simple. You can't graduate in 4 years if you don't stay in school. And we know that you're much more likely to graduate in 4 years if you stay through your second year. As you can see, we are trailing the average of our peers, especially in 4-year graduation rates. Let me be clear. We find this unacceptable as an institution, and we're now searching for appropriate funding to address this. In that context, I'm excited by the programs that our provost has been developing with our deans. Improving these numbers through intentional activities is a critical area of focus for our university. Our campus is focused on delivering results for our students and Iowans through implementation of our strategic plan. Our current strategic plan will keep our students in school, allow them to graduate in 4 years, and reduce their debt by, one, increasing experiential opportunities, internships, and mentoring, through two, retaining and recruiting the best faculty, by three, increasing peer-reviewed research, increasing citations, and increasing the national visibility of our faculty, and finally, four, increasing access to quality health care while playing our part in stimulating Iowa's economy. Over the past few years, we have built the mechanisms that will allow us to materially execute our strategic plan, and with the board's continued support, we will deliver. Our current strategic plan requires an investment of nearly $33 million per year, and we at the university view this as a shared investment between ourselves, our students, and the state. The university, for its part, is committed to funding over a third, or $11 million per year, through realignment, savings, centralization, and other such activities. This constant evaluation of what we are doing and how we are doing it allows the university to become more impactful in meeting our goals. Being more efficient, however, is not enough and will not fund our strategy of improving our outcomes longer term. Therefore, we must have new, sustainable, and predictable resources in order to invest into our future and live up to our values. Predictability around tuition is what you have provided us and our families with the board's commitment to a 5-year tuition plan. Thank you. This 5-year tuition plan, as you know, is tied to our appropriation request, and long-term support from the state remains and will always remain vital in executing our strategic plan. The $7 million, for example, requested of this year's from the state is part of this long-term support, and it's very much needed to ensure appropriate improved outcomes for our students. This leaves a gap of approximately $15 million per year. In order to ensure that the UI's strategic plan is resourced, the UI has spent the better part of this year engaged in the exploration of a public-private partnership with the university's utility system. Our utility system provides steam for heating and cooling of the campus, along with about 25% of the electricity needed for campus, and potable water as well throughout our campus. The UI's utility system is paid for by users across campus who are charged market rates. These are users such as our colleges, departments, and central units, the hospitals and clinics, residence halls, and of course athletics. All of this adds up to a budget of roughly $98 million per year for the UI's utility system, and it's broken down, as you can see here in the bottom right, into $41 million for fuel, electricity, and other purchase services, $23 million for operational and maintenance activities, such as employees and goods needed to keep the plant operating smoothly, and $34 million in debt payments and capital expenditures. Today, we own the utility system, which includes our power plant, the water, chilled water, and the tunnels. If you approve this transaction, the university will still own this entire array of assets. So what is the benefit to the university and to these new partners? The university will receive an upfront payment of $1.165 billion. That's $1.165 billion that we would place in an endowment. The UI will then spend the proceeds from that endowment to fund our unfunded strategic plan, which I discussed earlier, targeted at improving outcomes for our students. Our new partners, Engie and Meridian, will receive a steady financial return along with tax benefits that the UI cannot obtain because we are a nonprofit entity. As an additional benefit, over the next 50 years, it is projected that the University of Iowa's Energy Collaborative Organization, the new organization that will provide these services, will pay $256 million in Iowa taxes that have not been paid if this deal didn't take place. Engie, which traces its roots to 1858, and Meridian, formed in 2005, simply put, are global leaders. Global leaders in sustainability, global leaders in utility operations, global leaders in energy services. Now, we in Iowa will maximize their global connections in order to create a stronger future for our students, our campus, and our state. Iowa knows how to be a global leader as evidenced by our position in agriculture, writing, creative arts, insurance, and the bioeconomy. And this partnership will provide benefits to our campus while perhaps carving out a whole new global leadership mantle for Iowa. There are two items in particular that I would like to call your attention to within the response to a request for proposal that all of the bidders responded to, but particularly Angie and Meridian highlighted several key points. First, on page 3-8, it is where Meridian and Angie clearly stated that they expect to operate the utility system coal-free by 2023 by increasing the use of biomass, not just substituting coal for natural gas for coal, but jumping to biomass. This is 2 years ahead of our own internal target. Second is from page number Roman numeral 3 on the bottom right, which illustrates that 21.5% of the private financing for this transaction is coming from Iowa-based investors. So while Angie and Meridian are global companies, investors from our own state are part of this collaboration, and we couldn't be prouder of this. Finally, our partners have a significant track record to back up this proposal. Angie owns and operates North American facilities with nearly 100% of them producing no or very few carbon emissions. These facilities produce 1,000 megawatts or enough energy to produce and power 1 million homes. Angie also has a track record with university utility P3s as they were the winning bidder at Ohio State. This partnership has been very successful. Within its first 3 years in all facets, the success has driven increased benefits for employees, sustainability, students, and faculty engagement. And Meridian, since its inception in 2005, has been a leader in sustainability investment as evidenced by its bylaws, which commits Meridian through its bylaws to balance profits with positive impacts on our society. This commitment is illustrated through Meridian's optimization and agreement of the UN sustainability goals, United Nations sustainability goals, It was clear to us from the very beginning that these partners share our values and have a verifiable record of commitment to those same values. Well, what does this new partnership for our campus look like? Angie and Meridian will have come together to form the University of Iowa Energy Collaborative, which is a legal entity the university will partner with. Again, this partnership is not a sale of the utility system. It's not a strategy to eliminate employee jobs. And in fact, if our employees do not want to join the University of Iowa Energy Collaborative, they will have the choice to stay with the university. The UI will not back up on its commitment to sustainability of being coal-free by 2025. And in fact, as I suggested just a few seconds ago, this transaction will likely, very likely, accelerate it. And this is not a replacement for state appropriations. We need our state to continue contributing meaningfully support throughout our financial needs, supporting our students and faculty into the future. This is now the partnership I'd like to walk through in more carefully in some degree of minutia, and I apologize for it, but I think it is warranted given the gravity of what we're talking about here. First, UI Energy Collaborative will provide the university with an upfront lump sum payment of $1.165 billion. The university will then pay this new energy collaborative a fixed fee for 50 years to operate the plant on behalf of the university. The fixed fee paid to the partner for this service is $35 million per year for the first 1 through 5 years and will increase 1.5% each year starting in year 6. The UI will continue to pay for the fuel to operate the plant. It will continue to pay for the employees to run the plant, and will continue to pay for any capital expenditures that need to occur to keep the plant operating efficiently, safely, and effectively. These are not new expenses. We incur them today. They are expenses, however, that the university pays and will continue to pay for the duration of this agreement. Finally, the agreement with the UI Energy Collaborative clearly spells out key performance indicators that the operator must achieve or they will face financial penalties. If you approve this agreement today, The university will receive a lump sum payment of $1.165 billion. The university then would take that payment and defease the bonds that are associated with the utility system, which are roughly $153 million. Next, the university would pay the consulting and advisory fees that we've accumulated over the last year and a half, which are projected to be around $13 million. And finally, we would then place the net proceeds, approximately $999 million, into a strategic plan initiative 501c3. This new organization, which you would vote to create today, would then hire an investment firm, invest the net proceeds, and determine the annual allocation to the university in order to implement our strategic plan, as well as provide a subsidy to keep the campus utility cost increases within historical trends. At this point, I'd like to get into a little lower on some of the details and describe how the flow of resources between the university and the University Energy Collaborative, this new organization, will occur. There are three components of the utility fee that the UI will pay to our new partner. A fixed fee, the $35 million per year, which will eventually escalate starting in year 6. The second is an operating and maintenance cost, i.e. covering employee salaries and expenses associated with operations. Capital expenditures, then, are which are upgradable, upgrades and major repairs to the existing system. We've picked fiscal year 22, which is the first full year of operation, to provide you a financial overview of how this utility will look like in real life. First, we have the fixed fee payment of $35 million. Second, we have the operations and maintenance fee, that is the salaries, et cetera, that will continue to be paid by the university of $21.4. And I'd like to spend a moment on this issue as it's important, since O&M is a pass-through. The UI pays the cost. Net, there is no incentive for the new operator to reduce the workforce, as they do not see or gain or accrue any savings from that. In fact, they need these employees in order to maintain the key performance metrics in the contract. This is why I can confidently state that this deal is not about reducing the number of employees. There simply is no incentive for a partner to do so. Finally, we have the capital expenditure component, which is now relatively small, as we'll have just paid off and defeased those bonds. Continuing with fiscal year 22, I'd like to show you the other set of costs within the utility system, just to be complete. The UI will continue to pay for the fuel and electricity within the utility system. Similar to the employee costs, the UI will retain the ability to determine what we should be utilizing as fuel within the system. This, again, is an important point to stress. Our partner does not have a financial incentive to keep burning cheaper fuels, such as coal or natural gas, than what is already in our current long-term fuels plan. Bottom line, the university, our board, and constituents retain the ability to determine our future. Moving on, we're keeping sewer, refuge, fire, environmental compliance, insurance, and audit within the university. And as you see, these projected costs are here on the bottom of this slide. This brings us to how fiscal year 22 will work from a financial standpoint. The total revenues billed to campus at today's rates will be $99.5 million. The three-part fee paid to the UI Energy Collaborative is $60.3 million. And the remaining utility costs for fiscal year 22 total $45.9 million. Taking the amount billed to campus and subtracting these costs has a subsidy needed of $6.7 million that would then be paid from the P3 endowment, the 501c3. Below that solid line, you will then see the subsidy illustrated here and added to the $15 million to fund our strategic plan, which would then take an entire allocation for fiscal year 22 of $21.7 million from the P3 501c3. This slide shows the debits and credits for fiscal year 22 in the second column, and those are the numbers we just walked through. It then extends them to a number of other important years, importantly, year 2069, which is the final year of this 50-year relationship. 50 years is indeed a very long time, and we all agree that the responsibility for the success of this initiative will rest with each of us but exceedingly importantly in how we use the funds. Even with a conservative approach, all of us must maintain a discipline to ensure success for our future, today's leaders and tomorrow's, with the university and with the state. This discipline will live with the university, frankly, the Board of Regents as well, and the state, as each of us have played a vital role in ensuring the success of this partnership. Part of this discipline will be driven by the University of Iowa Strategic Initiative Fund, this 501c3, that is before you for consideration today. This organization, created to support the strategic plan of the university, will be managed by, we propose, 3 members: a Board of Regents member, appointed by you, of course, the University of Iowa faculty member appointed by the Faculty Senate for a 4-year term, and the University of Iowa Senior Vice President for Finance and Operations. The board will hire investment advisors and fund managers and will determine the yearly allocation of the university to the university based on the advice from those advisors and managers. This new organization will be a partner with the university and with the Regents and with the General Assembly in ensuring the discipline needed over the next 50 years. As I previously stated, the proceeds of a partnership would be placed into this University of Iowa Strategic Initiatives Fund. But to ensure that we maximize the use of these new resources, the UI is proposing to use an open and transparent grant process across our campus. Anyone from our campus community could apply for a grant, as long as it advances the strategic plan. And the grant could last up to 5 years. By treating these resources as one time, the University of Iowa will be able to maximize the impact of the money while ensuring the discipline we just spoke of. Utilizing a group of groups that we've been working on for the last several years called Path Forward and the steering committee, we will then vet these proposals to allow full participation by shared governance, our students, our faculty, our staff, and the administration. By utilizing our budget process and the budget review board, the entire campus will fully integrated into this resource allocation process. As I've stated many times before, a strong culture needs to be transparent, have clear accountability, be flexible, and connect to the institution's strategy. This is just what I believe we have built over the last several years at the University of Iowa. We expect this transparency and accountability will also enhance your ability to hold us accountable as we work to execute our strategic plan. So thank you. Thank you for bearing with me and going through this once again. With large, complex issues such as this, I always like to sort of close my eyes, sit back, and return to first-order principles. The why. The why are we doing this? And what will success look like if this agreement is executed? Our university was created at the founding of our state in order to serve the citizens. And I firmly believe this new partnership will support that original mission. At the end of the day, our core functions are teaching, research, and engagement. This agreement with our state was best summed up by former University of Iowa President Bowen when he described University of Iowa as a faculty committed to advanced teaching informed by active research. Our strategic plan can be brought to this simple concept, and I know the outcomes of this new partnership will greatly improve our outcomes for students, our faculty, and ultimately the state of Iowa and the citizens of this fine state. This has been a significant undertaking with scores of people involved, and I would particularly like to thank a number of them for the hard work that they've done over a long period of time. We've had a number of shared governance leaders across campus focused on our core project team. Your staff, all of you, have been phenomenal throughout this entire process, been great counsel. I'd also particularly like to call out Terry Johnson, Rod Lennertz, and Carol Reasoner. Each of them have made significant contributions, as well as all of you. Now I'm through with all of the PowerPoints, and I'd be glad to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, President Harreld. I do have a couple comments, and then we'll recognize other members of the board. The state of Iowa has some of the finest higher education institutions in the nation. We as a board are committed to maintaining that excellence for our Regent universities. As we have discussed previously, one key aspect of maintaining top quality education is funding. Today is the culmination of a process that has been ongoing for more than a year. Today's arrangement is a unique, creative solution to the funding challenges facing higher education institutions nationwide. While the two primary funding sources of public higher education are a combination of state appropriations and tuition, and changing times call for changing our approach. To complement tuition and state appropriations, the board and the universities have been active in trying to find additional sources of revenue by looking for ways to use our existing assets as additional revenue sources. In August 2018, as Governor Reynolds said, she challenged the board to find new opportunities for funding in addition to our current sources. I want to publicly thank the governor for encouraging us to pursue this arrangement and being extremely supportive of the Regents' efforts to be creative. The fact that she was here today in person speaks to the positive, collaborative relationship that exists between the governor's office and the legislature and our public universities. I also want to thank President Harreld and the entire team that worked so hard on this deal. It was a massive undertaking, and they did a remarkable job. I also want to welcome our new partners from NG and Meridian, leaders in their field who have a proven track record of expertise in ventures like this. We are pleased they bid on this project, and we are excited about partnering with these firms. We enter into this arrangement with the proper research that a deal of this magnitude requires. The university has been open and transparent as they've researched this process. Since the university publicly announced its intention to investigate a public partnership in February 2019, the U of I has held 6 open forums, public and on the campus, and 1 information system with each of its 4 shared governance bodies. President Harreld has spoken publicly about the process at 7 board meetings and provided a 90-minute information webinar to the board last week. This presentation was live and streamed and is still available on the board websites. I might interject that there's actually been many more meetings than this, and only President Harreld would have a good idea of how many dozens and dozens of meetings have had. The University of Iowa team was extremely thorough and deliberative, and they did their due diligence. We understand this is a new venture for our state universities, and there have been many questions asked and answered. The board has been actively engaged in this process and reviewed all final bids. We believe the arrangement with NG and Meridian will be a successful partnership. After all bids were received, NG Meridian was the clear choice to receive this award. Their response matches the University of Iowa values in many ways, including the following specifics from their bid that I would like to highlight. They were explicit in the desire to retain the University of Iowa employees while avoiding any interview process. Additionally, NG has a verifiable track record of successful transitions that have proved to be beneficial for the employees, notably at Ohio State University. Their response was clear that they expect to operate the University of Iowa's utility system coal-free by 2023 by increasing the use of biomass, not just substituting natural gas for coal. NG Meridium is a worldwide leader with the energy sector and has a robust educational program that has engaged 500,000 students over the past decade. Specifically for the University of Iowa, 10 internships will be offered immediately for students to work and study in Belgium and France. These global internships are in addition to the internships that will be available on the University of Iowa campus and throughout the United States. And finally, NG Meridium is proposing to engage the university through its research mission by sponsoring research on campus while continuing to provide access for U of I researchers. I believe that President Harreld said this best during the public webinar he presented to the board last week. This arrangement will require discipline in order to be successful. With that needed discipline, it will provide a blueprint for future opportunities for our other Regent institutions and even possibly other branches of state government. We are excited about the possibility that this new partnership opens up with the additional funding that it can provide, in addition to state appropriations, tuition, and cost savings. This is the first step in a 50-year journey, and we are excited about the prospect of this partnership. I will recognize any other board members that have comments. Regent Barker.
Thank you. The University of Iowa public-private partnership, called P3, would do three things: create a large endowment, allow an experienced operator to run the power and water plants, and obligate the university to pay an annual fee to the operator. The university would invest the endowment, with investment earnings going first to pay the operator, and any additional earnings supporting university programs. Over any 50-year period in American history, investment returns on diversified portfolios have been positive and substantial. The finance staff at the University of Iowa believes that over the 50-year duration of P3, the likelihood of investment returns being insufficient to make the required payments is small, and the likelihood of having additional income to support programs is high. P3 will create value in at least three ways. First, the company leasing the power plant will receive tax benefits, allowing it to pay the university a substantial sum of money. At the same time, tax revenue to the state of Iowa will increase, even with the benefit, since the university currently pays no taxes at all, and the company will pay taxes even with the benefits of this investment. Taxpayers, the university, and the company will all benefit. Second, the university will earn a return on its endowment in return for bearing some investment risk. With prudent investment choices, this risk should be acceptable in exchange for the potential return. And third, an experienced operator with access to the latest technologies and economies of scale will free the university of the task of providing energy to its campus. Doing nothing also carries risk. There is an urgent need for funds to support programs that will help stop the fall in university rankings. If rankings continue to fall, it will be harder to attract faculty and research grants, which will cause further declines in rankings, possibly leading to enrollment declines which would hurt the university financially. P3 is a bold initiative. It is not without risk, but our financial professionals believe that it will provide lasting benefits for all involved parties. I want to thank the entire board staff, President Richards, President Harreld, Rod Leonards, Terry Johnson, and others for being so open with information and answering the dozens and dozens of questions that I and others have had over the past several months. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the Regents? Regent Butker.
Thank you. I just want to echo what Regent Barker has said and how much I appreciate. I always look at something of the worst case scenario. What is the biggest risk we face here? And you have done such yeoman's work in answering those questions. I appreciate your thoroughness, your diligence, and I am excited. I think this is one of the most exciting things for higher ed that I've seen. in my ears. Thank you.
Any other comments? Regent Dunkel?
I too would include, nice job, Regent Barker, on summing that up. That's exactly what we all think. You have blazed a trail today, and it's been because of an incredible amount of work by many of you. So we appreciate that, and I look forward to this vote.
Thank you. President Harrell, I have appreciated from the very beginning the objectivity that you've approached the due diligence portion of this with, and also the transparency, particularly on your own campus, with which you approached it. That's been a mantra of yours from the beginning, and I think you followed that to the hill. Thank you.
Regent Bates.
Thank you, thank you. I'm just going to reiterate what everyone else said, but I'm going to add to that. Not only has it been transparent, but I appreciate it has not been rushed. You've taken your time to learn about it, figure out what you want to do, and I have truly felt fully informed throughout the whole process, so it's understanding to me. It is an awesome venture that we're going to do, and I look forward to what transpires. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other comment from any other regions? Thank you. A motion and a second are required to approve the 3 action items in the agenda item. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Regent County.
Second.
Motions, and Regent Butker seconded. Any discussion? We will have a,
Add, there's been no public comment in this meeting, and that's shameful. The people of Iowa deserve to have a say on this, or at least to learn more information about it. The way this has been rolled out to the public has been nothing short of incredible in a bad way. I understand that you guys have all the information that you need to make this decision. This is a state of Iowa asset, not your monopoly board. So not letting the public outside of the University of Iowa itself have any input is unconscionable. So I just want you to take that into account.
there has been a motion and it has been seconded. Is there any discussion? We will have a roll call vote. Regent Least?
Yes.
Regent Dunkel?
Yes.
Regent Lindemeyer?
Yes.
Regent Barker?
Yes.
Regent County?
Yes.
Regent Dakovich?
Yes.
Regent Bates?
Yes.
Regent Butker?
Yes.
Regent Richards votes yes. The motion is approved. At this time, I'd like to recognize, now we have to go through a couple steps here. I'd like to recognize Brad Berg from the board office.
Thank you, President Richards. Also before the board today is requested approval of the resolutions necessary to redeem the 2011 utility system bonds and also resolution to defease the 9 bond issues that are included in your docket item. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions of the regents? A motion and a second are required to approve the following resolutions. A resolution authorizing the redemption of the outstanding $10,195,000 utility system revenue refunding bonds, Series SUI 2011, and directing notice to be given, and a resolution authorizing the defeasance of the outstanding State University of Iowa utility system revenue bonds and directing notice to be given. Is there a motion?
I make the motion.
Regent Dunkel,
I'll second.
Regent Bates. A motion was made by Regent Dunkel and seconded by Regent Bates. Any discussion? We will have a roll call vote. Regent Least?
Yes.
Regent Dunkel?
Yes.
Regent Lindemeyer,
Yes.
Regent Barker,
Yes.
Regent County,
Yes.
Regent Dakovich,
Yes.
Regent Bates,
Yes.
Regent Butker,
Yes.
Regent Richards votes yes. The motion is approved. Is there any other business to come before this board? Hearing none, this meeting of the Board of Regents, State of Iowa is adjourned. What? Oh, I thought you were. Okay.